Good day everyone, I'm Ivan, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone to today's webinar, which is Physician Supervision for Provider-Based Clinics in 2025. I want to introduce our presenter for today, Yesenia Servin. Yesenia Servin, CPMSM PESC, is an expert in credentialing and provider payer enrollment with over 24 years of experience in the healthcare industry. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Yesenia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to talk about regulatory requirements, prefer providers. We're going to talk about, different physician supervision requirements, and we're going to talk about what that credentialing looks like as well. Every organization is different. Every state is different. So you really have to learn in your state and in the region that your organization is, your providers are. And then billing, credentialing, and enrollment can change depending on the administration in power at the time in the U.S. The credentialing is actually verifying that that paperwork that that practitioner has handed you, their degree, their licensure, their malpractice information, their CV and resume. The second part is the enrollments, which after the credentialing is done, then you are able to enroll them a lot of times simultaneously. So the current updates, of course, are the CMS direct supervision via virtual supervision. That correct billing policy and procedure is understanding the incident to rule, right? The updates that it's done. So you have to meet all of these requirements. So please make sure that that paperwork and that policy and procedure is very clear and defined. Every session, every service that practitioners provide must be deemed medically necessary. Additionally, with that plan of care, you have to make sure that the documentation is showing the modality of care. So again, understanding your state law, and the way that you understand your state law, you always go to that particular board. And if you're newer to it, you're like, okay, the organization doesn't have one, so why can't this auditor, just regulator, just provide me a template? They won't have one. You have to have your own. That's why it's important to have the PMPs and bylaws, because that has to fit that entire scope. Collaboration at the practice level. So sometimes instead of doing the legal mandate, the scope of the practice is determined at the practice level with the PA and the healthcare, is if it's appropriate. So please make sure you're PDFing all of those recommendations and rules and processes that they've required. And then if you're not the one doing it, then you have to get clarification from the leadership that is doing it, because that impacts all of your billing and what you understand that billing can translate to and be look like when it comes to any of those supervision pieces that are not on site but are more telehealth and off-site or in the suite, quote unquote, right? And always make sure that you understand what the state practice is when it comes to your APPs, and always make sure that what you understand is how it's being correctly interpreted, maybe not correctly, but to your organization's interpretation is in policies and procedures and bylaws as needed, right? Because everything will come back to where's the paper trail, show me where you have the policy, show me based on all of these billings for this practitioner how you followed that policy. And that is how detailed those audits go for those of you that haven't been in those audits yet. So even with states that have full practice authority, it is always still best to have a physician. And the reason that is most hospital systems, most payers, even if there's independent practicing in that state, those hospital systems and payer networks still want a physician to back it up, right? They still want an admitting arrangement with a physician or a physician group. So what does it mean in terms of being trained as a direct billing distinction, an incident to? What does that mean? Who is looking at all those regulations? Who is updating that? And actually that is you as a biller. So licensure is dependent, again, on your specific state. Whether they can practice independently, whether they need a supervisor. It all goes back to your state, but it also requires that you deem the payer network requirements into this process. This public awareness is not only for hospital systems, it's for every clinic. Like your clinic has to have signage, your clinic has to have clear operations. Breakdowns of what supervision means. Again, use this language that comes directly from CMS and incorporate it into your policies, and then really interpret what it means to your specific provider, to your specific organization. All of this info is a lot of what we've talked about already. It just breaks it down um, in a different scenario, and then I've just given you some of the different sources that I've used and that I continue to use. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
That concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.